Whenever China comes up in conversation, it seems to get pulled to one of two extremes. Either it's on the brink of an inevitable collapse, or it's this unstoppable force heading for global dominance. But what if both of those stories are wrong? The reality, as you can probably guess, is way more complicated. And honestly, getting a handle on that complexity is crucial for understanding the world we live in. And the Asia Society Policy Institute really nails it with this quote. To get China today, we absolutely have to move past these simple black or white narratives. We're talking about a system that's incredibly dynamic, always adapting, and just full of these deep, fascinating contradictions.
These are the two stories you hear all the time, right? On one side, it's the inevitable decline, a country supposedly crippled by massive debt and a demographic crisis. And on the other, you've got the unstoppable rise, this tech juggernaut that's all set to take over. But here's the thing, if you buy into either of these extremes, you risk completely misreading one of the most important players on the world stage.
So let's start with the first side of the coin, the engine of innovation. There's a reason China projects so much power. Its strengths and ambitions are, without a doubt, the real deal.
Just look at this list. We're talking about global leadership in the key industries that are literally shaping our future. Electric vehicles, batteries, solar power, you name it. China is the backbone for huge parts of our global supply chains and, get this, it's even outpacing the US in the sheer number of medical clinical trials. This is a country with absolutely extraordinary capacity.
And this isn't just hype, not by a long shot. A survey of experts by MERICS shows a staggering 79%, almost 4 out of 5, expect China to make major strides in artificial intelligence by 2026. More than half say the same thing for green tech. The momentum here is just undeniable.
But, and this is a huge but, all of that strength is resting on a pretty uneven foundation. So now we have to flip the script and look at the other side of the story, the immense internal pressures China is facing. This is the great stress test.
And right here, the contradiction just smacks you in the face. While those same experts are super bullish on tech, the survey shows they expect very little progress or maybe even for things to go backwards on crucial social issues. We're talking youth unemployment, fiscal reform. It's just a really stark contrast.
And that number, around 20%, is so important. Think about it. 1 in 5 young people in China can't find a job. Now, that's not just an economic statistic, is it? It's a social crisis. It's fueling widespread disillusionment and this phenomenon called run culture, which is basically a mindset of trying to find a way out of the country.
And that's just one piece of a much bigger, strained system. You've got local governments basically drowning in debt, a demographic cliff that gets steeper by the day, stubborn deflation, and a consumer recovery that just won't take off. The key thing to get here is that these incredible breakthroughs we talked about are happening right alongside this deep, systemic brittleness.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of the matter, the great balancing act. If you really want to understand China, you have to get your head around the core dilemmas and paradoxes its leaders are constantly trying to navigate.
So, a strategic dilemma, as the Asia Society defines it, isn't just a problem you can solve. Nope, it's a deep, unresolved contradiction with massive consequences. It's like a permanent tightrope walk, and the outcome is anything but guaranteed.
The first major paradox is this constant push and pull between the Communist Party's need for absolute control and its need for economic dynamism. It's like they want all the energy of a free market, but they're terrified of losing their grip on power.
And you see this paradox playing out all the time. Beijing will call for a revival of entrepreneurship, but then turn around and discipline the very tech innovators who could make that happen. They'll push for world-class breakthroughs in medicine and then launch these sweeping anti-corruption crackdowns that throw the entire sector into chaos. They really want to have it both ways.
And that leads us to the second key paradox, which is framed by President Xi Jinping himself. It's this idea that security and development are two sides of the same coin. It's not a choice of one over the other, but this constant, tricky recalibration of the balance between them.
But look, this balancing act has major real-world consequences. This intense focus on national security is a huge driver of China's foreign policy. And as this chart shows, European experts are pretty pessimistic about their ability to handle the fallout, like China's manufacturing overcapacity, which many see as a direct result of this state-led security-first model.
And right at the center of all of this, of course, is the Xi factor. His personal priorities are crystal clear: control, security, self-reliance. But the trade-offs are just as clear. When you centralize power that much, you can end up stifling local initiative. And when you emphasize security constantly, it tends to make foreign investors pretty nervous.
So, where does all of this leave us? Well, the goal here isn't to give you some perfect forecast. It's really to offer a better framework, a better way of thinking about what might come next.
Which brings us right back to the core idea we started with. Thinking in these simple terms of rise or fall is just a trap. It doesn't just cause us to misread China, it makes us misread the entire global landscape.
The real value of this kind of analysis is learning to ask better questions. Like, can Beijing actually manage this tension between control and dynamism? How will it continue to balance security and development? These are the questions that are really going to shape the future.
I think this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Ascendant yet constrained, powerful yet fragile, ambitious yet anxious. This is it. This is the complex, contradictory reality of China today. It's all of these things, all at the same time.
So, if understanding these deep dilemmas is the first step, we're left with a final big question. What's the second? How do we take this new framework and apply it to a world where China's path forward is, without a doubt, one of the most consequential stories of our time?